Senator Julie, it's your turn. Bring us to institution and regulatory support or whatever. Go ahead.
Merci. Thank you very much, Professor Dubé. So I've been a senator for 6.5 years, so I have a bit of a different role. I'm a legislator, so I study law, and even a great privilege, I can make laws, because as individual parliamentarian, we have this great privilege of being able to write a bill and to try to pass it through the Senate. So I'll start with hope. I succeeded once with Bill S211, which is against forced labor and child labor in supply chains of Canadian companies or company based here. So it was a transparency bill, modest in essence. We didn't force anybody to change everything at once, but they had to be transparent about their effort and where they were. It became a law, which is very rare when it's a private member's bill. Now we have 6,000 companies reporting on those issues here. And my hope is that companies will be asking hard questions to their suppliers and decide in the end not to import cheap goods. It's easy. It's an easy issue to understand, child labor and forced labor. Much easier, I think, than the complex issue we're trying to understand here with climate change. You know, people, you know, it's called modern slavery. It's very, very graphic. So this was my first step. This law is modest, but my team and I grew more ambitious. And here is S285, which is really what we're talking about today. So we decided to tackle a fundamental problem at the heart of capitalism, and particularly financial capitalism, as we know it now. The endless pursuit of corporate profits at the expense of other interests. I was very happy to hear about Karl Marx. I studied at UQAM, which is not exactly McGill, and 40 years ago. And obviously, Karl Marx was at the center of the curriculum. So the idea that people should live according to their needs and not what they own is really has been in my head all the time. So thank you for talking about that. So I want to make just a small caveat here, if you are hearing the news. S285 started its journey in the Senate last May before prorogation, was asked and obtained by Prime Minister Trudeau. As a result, the 21st Century Business Law, which is the long name for my law, and I had support among some enlightened companies, business law experts, university professors. They're really useful too. So my bill died on the order paper. It doesn't mean it can be resuscitated, but technically it's dead. So let's even if it's dead, I will talk to you about what it meant to do, because things evolved slowly in the legislative world and in parliaments. So it's a drop. The bill was introduced. It's there, and it can be revived, I think. So the law, as it is designed, it's designed in a way that when business leaders and boards make decisions, they are required to pursue what is called the best interest of the corporation. Interesting concept. So what it is, in fact, what it means in general, is that putting the interest of shareholders should be above all other considerations. So that's what it means. And however, obviously, given the social and environmental challenges we face today, we need to push for change. So what is the content of Bill S285, the 21st Century Business Act, which we commonly call 21BA? It's easier. It is set out to reshape Canadian business by broadening the responsibility of corporate directors and officers to include their company's social and environmental impacts alongside their profit goals. So it's called the fiduciary duties. It's really at the heart of business law, and this is what we wanted to change. So obviously you can imagine there was no consensus around it. So the bill is built around 3 pillars: Corporate purpose, I won't repeat what my dear colleague said. This is part of our law. It's mandatory, in fact, in the law, and it's written. Impact reporting, which is transparency also, and accountability. So, Bill S285 was designed to align the duty of corporate's director and officer with social and environmental sustainability. It does not require companies to stop to give up profits. It does not do that. It does not threaten what is called the business judgment rule, which is really important for business. What it does basically is it proposed to amend section 122, and here I have some words because it's a little technical. So it amends section 122 of the Canada Business Corporation Act, CBCA, to specify that corporate directors and officers must act, yes, in the best interest of the corporation, but that they must do so while ensuring that the corporation operates in a manner that, A, benefits the wider society and the environment in a manner proportionate to the size and nature of its operation, and minimize any harm the corporation causes to the wider society and the environment with the objective of eliminating such harm. So another component of this bill is disclosure. So the companies have to report publicly on their social and environmental impact using what we call, and this is interesting, third-party impact reporting frameworks. We don't propose to create another frameworks. Frameworks, we have a lot of them around the world. So it's a question for regulation to decide which of those frameworks should be used. And it's left to be done after the adoption of the bill, which is not for tomorrow. So let's be honest about that. In addition, legal action is possible for an interested third party if authorized by a judge. So there's some way of going after the companies who are not respecting the law. This amendment is also based on the proportionality principle, and I think you've mentioned it. We want the reported duties that be adjusted according to the size of the corporation. It's essential. Small businesses often don't have enough staff to report extensively. So what is the global trend? There is an emerging conversation about my bill and initiative in that sense. I think André pointed very well that there was a lot of enthusiasm and it has kind of slowed down. So let's quote Colin Mayer, British, from Oxford, who's one of the thinkers of bills like mine. What he says, the purpose of business in our area should be producing profitable solutions from the problems of people and planet, and not profiting from creating problems. Other countries have enacted legislation. In 2019, France adopted La Loi Pacte. The law updates the basic rule of corporate governance. It states that companies must manage with a view to social and environmental issues. In the European Union, and they're more advanced than we are, the CSRD directive already forces big business to report on their impact on the environment and society. And let's not forget the UK, where more than 2,800 companies have joined an inspiring initiative in civil society, which is called the Better Business Act, BBA. It serves as a source of inspiration for us, since it is also proposing to expand fiduciary duties in their law. So my main allies in the business world are what are called benefit corps, B Corps, 8,000 around the world, mostly in the US, Great Britain, and around 600 in Canada. It is a fascinating group of engaged CEOs. To become a B Corp, companies have to be certified and report on their performance towards the planet. One of their duty is to report on double materiality. It means dealing with the risk, for example, that the environment poses to the companies, but also dealing with the impacts that the company has on environment. So both are as important. In the US and British Columbia, states and provincial laws have been enacted to recognize these companies with wider goals. So, you can visit a wonderful website that we have done, took us months, it's still there, and it explained pretty much everything about the bill. Let's listen to Marie-Josée Richer, co-founder of Prana, a successful nuts and dry foods business sold around the country. I believe the business world not only has the power, but the duty to use entrepreneurship as a vehicle for social and environmental change. We cannot continue with business as usual. We must change the paradigm and make the old model obsolete. Another one, Alex Brisson, CEO of a large engineering firm in Quebec City, Nordastello, about 800 employees, not a small company. The time has come for concrete action. The well-being of our communities, our planet, and future generations can no longer depend solely on the goodwill of companies. We must legislate to ensure that all stakeholders are at the heart of business decisions in the country. So the Benefit Corp are taking on voluntary duties towards the planet, but they believe it should be mandatory for all businesses. Why? To achieve a level playing field in terms of competition. Because now you have this small group of companies who are doing good, and it's not so much a facade. The B Corp has been recognized for being quite serious in their goals. So how can you compete on a level playing field with all those other companies who are not doing that? You know, it's a voluntary. That's why we're saying a law is necessary. Others believe that it's the responsibility of the state, and the state only, to intervene on this issue. But really, in the 21st century, governments are unable to address alone all the complex issues that threatens our survival and well-being. I can tell you that's true. So many problems, so little time even to pass the laws necessary to just, do the minimum. So what's next? Obviously, the climate now is not great for this type of law. Because one of the main arguments of companies is we're not going to be competitive with the US if we have an extra duty towards the people and the planet. But, what does that mean for the future? I think we need to push. We are a few. There's another senator, Rosa Galvez, who's pushing for change in the banking system. The Senate is a good place to talk about new ideas and to try to push them forwards. But if we want to succeed, we need all of you. We cannot do it alone in our little parliament. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We call this the whole society approach. Scott, why don't we shift?